Welcome to Geography for Everyone. Learn now, enjoy later. In this episode we move to the northwestern part of the European continent to get to know England a little better. Let's see what characteristics this country has. England is part of the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom comprises the whole of the island of Great Britain, which contains England, Wales, and Scotland, as well as the northern portion of the island of Ireland. It is an island situated off the northwest coast of Europe, and it is bordered by Scotland in the north, the North Sea in the east, the English Channel in the south and Wales in the west. It has in total 130,279 square kilometers. England has about 68.4 million inhabitants. In latest statistics, the most common ethnic group in England was white with a percentage of 84.8%. People from Asian ethnic groups made up the second largest percentage of the population at 8%, followed by black ethnic groups at 3.5%, mixed or multiple ethnic groups at 1.8%, and other ethnic groups at 1.9%. Though by far the biggest nation within the United Kingdom, England has no parliament. It therefore does not have an official language. But the de facto official language of the United Kingdom is English. English is the most widely spoken language worldwide, with 1.5 billion speakers. As we become increasingly connected, English has assumed a position of the dominant language of global communication, notably on the Internet. An estimated 51.0% of the population reported their religion as Christian, making it the most prevalent religious group in England. The next most common responses were no religion by 38.4%, Muslim by 5.7% and Hindu by 1.7%. Overall, England is divided into 9 regions and 48 ceremonial counties, although these have only a limited role in public policy. For the purposes of local government, the country is divided into counties, districts and parishes. London, England's capital, is continually recognized as one of the world's most cosmopolitan and culturally diverse cities. With a population of over 8 million, London boasts over 300 languages and is home to more than 270 nationalities. The buzz and atmosphere that such diversity brings is what makes London the fantastic world city it is today. Best attractions in London are Westminster Abbey, St. Paul's Cathedral, Big Ben, London Eye and Tower Bridge. Britain's government is both a parliamentary democracy and a constitutional monarchy. This means the people elect a parliamentary body to help run the government. They also have a monarch. Since 1952, Queen Elizabeth II has served as the reigning monarch. Because of the Constitution, the monarch has limited governing power. The leader of the government is the Prime Minister, who heads the executive branch of government. Boris Johnson is currently the Prime Minister, in this position since 2019. Britain's national currency is the pound sterling. Even though it was part of the European Union, it did not use the euro as its common currency. The flag of England is derived from St. George's Cross. The association of the Red Cross as an emblem of England can be traced back to the late Middle Ages, and it was increasingly used alongside the royal banner in the wake of the English Reformation, especially as a maritime flag referred to as a white ensign. It was used as a component in the design of the Union Jack, flag of the United Kingdom, in 1606. England can be divided into 2 areas. First, the Highland Zone. This zone is characterized by rocky, rugged hills and eroded mountain faces, interrupted by valleys and extensive plains. Because these higher-lying areas get less sunlight during the day and more rainfall than the lower-lying areas, they are generally colder and unsuitable for farming. And second, the Lowland Zone. This zone experiences less rain and more sunshine than the high-lying regions. The soil is more fertile, yielding far better crops. The landscape boasts rolling hills that are not very high, making for the ideal place to live and farm. England makes extensive use of its inland waterways, such as its rivers. The Thames River, Mersey River and Tyne River are particularly important as they have formal ports in London, Liverpool and Newcastle respectively. The Thames River is also the country's longest at 346 kilometers in length. The Pennines mountain range is the oldest of its kind in England, being dated at 300 million years of age, and the highest peak in all of England is Scafell Pike, with only 978 meters above sea level. England's climate is described as temperate maritime. Winter temperatures rarely drop below 0 degrees Celsius, while summer highs can reach around 30 degrees Celsius. January and February are the coldest and usually face snow, while July is the hottest month. England is a relatively humid country due to its proximity to the Atlantic Ocean. This, in turn, created a lush land of greenery and flowering. Tourism plays a significant part in the economic life in England. Many other people go to England as tourists, and this is economically beneficial. In the UK as a whole, tourism contributes £76 billion to the British economy, and it employs 6.1% of the working population, making it the sixth largest industry. England's tourist industry is principally cultural and heritage-based, and many tourists are attracted to England because of its history. One of top tourist attractions in England, Stonehenge is among the most important prehistoric sites in the world. It was produced by a culture that left no written records, so many aspects of Stonehenge remain subject to debate. Evidence indicate that the large stones were erected around 2500 before Christ. It is not known for certain what purpose Stonehenge served, but many scholars believe the monument was used as a ceremonial or religious center. The 150-year-old Big Ben clock tower is one of London's top attractions. The name Big Ben actually refers not to the clock tower itself, but to the 13-ton bell housed within the tower, and takes its name from the man who first ordered the bell, Sir Benjamin Hall. It is the 3th largest freestanding clock tower in the world. The clock has become a symbol of the England and London. Some of the biggest draws for tourists here revolve around the royal family, who have played an important role in shaping the country. Windsor Castle is famous as one of the royal family's official residences, and throws its doors open to visitors regularly when the Queen is away. And it's rich in history, able to trace its roots all the way back to the 11th century, when the triumphant William the Conqueror had a fortress erected on this very spot. Covering some 1448 kilometers square, Lake District National Park is a must-visit destination for travelers to England. With 12 of the country's largest lakes and more than 3,219 kilometers of rights-of-way waiting to be explored, there's little wonder the region continues to inspire, with its magnificent views and scenery straight out of a painting. The park is visited by about 14 million national and international tourists each year. Greenwich Park, dating from the 15th century and the oldest of London's 8 royal parks, is filled with beautiful gardens and walking paths, and here you'll find the Prime Meridian line, marked by a steel rod in the floor of the Meridian building. This is the zero meridian of longitude, dividing the world into eastern and western halves. You can stand with one foot in each hemisphere. Of course, England has some great cities too. The largest of these are Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham and Bristol, and are well worth a visit. England is famous for many things. Afternoon tea in Great Britain is a real tradition. It is a custom that was established by the 7th Duchess of Bedford in the 19th century. At the time, lunch was taken early and dinner very late, so the Duchess made a habit of taking tea in the afternoon between 3 and 4 o'clock together with a light meal. She began inviting her friends to join her and therefore started a tea fashion, enjoying an immediate success. London's red buses are among the most iconic symbols of the capital. The reason behind their color dates to the early 1900s, when the transport system was operated by different rival companies. London General Omnibus Company owned most of the buses, and in 1907 painted its entire fleet red to stand out from competitors. Since 1933, The colour was adopted by London Transport and it has remained ever since. The classic black cab is a hackney carriage that is distinguishable by its higher ceilings and curved sides. The history of the London black cab dates back to the 17th century when horse-drawn carriages for hire were ordered by an Act of Parliament. With the last horse-drawn model being taken out of service in the 1940s, the hackney carriage car became one of the most recognisable vehicles on the London streets and rivaled the classic red bus in its iconic London status. No matter how tiny a hamlet, village or community might be in England, there's one guarantee: it will have a pub. England is famous for its pub culture, which involves everything from ordering in pints to a need to sit outdoors at the slightest bit of sunshine. The history of English pubs is actually quite fascinating. There are a few pubs in England that claim to be the oldest, but no one is certain which one it is. Be that as it may, there are plenty of pubs dating back to the 12th century which will still take your order. English cuisine has developed over many centuries and it was influenced by Mediterranean, Asian and European cuisine. Sunday roast or Sunday joint consists of roast meat, usually beef or pork, potato wedges, vegetables baked in creamy sauce and Yorkshire pudding. It is usually served with gravy, apple or horseradish sauce. England is well known for its enormous fried breakfasts, eponymously named the English breakfast. It is traditionally served on weekends, often used as a hangover cure, and combines the calories of a full day's nutrition. But health aside, the English breakfast is both delicious and culturally significant. Most English breakfasts will consist of toast, hash browns, beans, fried tomatoes, bacon, sausages, mushrooms, eggs, and a hot drink. Fish and chips, a hot dish of English origin, consisting of battered fish and deep-fried chips. It is a common takeaway food. This dish became popular in the middle of 19th century among working class as it was quite cheap and easily done. During World War II, fish and chip remained one of the few food in United Kingdom not subject to rationing. Toad in the hole is a traditional British dish consisting of sausages battered in Yorkshire pudding served with gravy and vegetables. England has a strong sporting heritage and during the 19th century codified many sports that are now played around the world. Sports originating in England include cricket, darts, snooker and football. It might even surprise you to find out that games such as badminton, basketball, volleyball and even bungee jumping also had some English enterprise behind them. England is famous for being the home of football, also called soccer. Although many ancient cultures played similar games, it was in 1863, Sheffield, England, that the rules were finalized resembling the game we know or play today. Despite being a nation that is proudly football mad, England has only ever won one World Cup title, and that was back in 1966. There are many famous English football players, however, David Beckham, Harry Kane, and Frank Lampard among them. England is also famous for having some fierce football fans. And it's certainly true that when England play, the English come out to play too. A man that needs no introduction, David Beckham is arguably the most famous sportsman of them all. He played for Manchester United and Real Madrid, as well as captaining his country, for whom he received 115 caps and scored 17 goals. David Beckham is a true icon. Lewis Hamilton, British race car driver who is one of the most successful Formula One Grand Prix racing drivers of all time. He owns the F1 record for career race victories and is tied with Michael Schumacher for the most drivers' championships, 7. In 2008 he became the first black driver to win the F1 World Drivers' Championship. Jessica Ennis-Hill is Britain's greatest female athlete of all time. She lived up to her poster girl status by winning heptathlon gold at the 2012 London Olympics and was twice crowned world champion. She has held British records in 4 different disciplines and was also one of the world's leading 100 meters hurdlers. Ronnie O'Sullivan is widely regarded as the best snooker player of all time. He is a 6-time world champion, a record 7-time Masters champion and a record 7-time UK champion. He also holds the record for the most ranking titles, with 37, winning his first aged 17. William Shakespeare was an English poet and playwright who is considered one of the greatest writers to ever use the English language. He is also the most famous playwright in the world, with his plays being translated in over 50 languages and performed across the globe for audiences of all ages. Shakespeare's three best-known plays are Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, and Hamlet. England is famous for its legend of Robin Hood and his merry men. The story goes that a young man stole from the rich King James and gave the money back to paupers in his native city of Nottingham, England. The legend sprang up after medieval times and was a byproduct of civil unrest and great wealth disparity. Historians are pretty sure there never was a man called Robin Hood alive in Nottingham during the time the story was set. At least, there's no record of him. Sir Winston Churchill was a politician, a soldier, an artist, and the 20th century's most famous and celebrated prime minister. He led the nation during World War II, when the country defended itself against a planned German invasion. Charles Darwin was a British naturalist of the 19th century. He and others developed the theory of evolution. This theory forms a basis for the modern life sciences. Darwin's most famous books are The Origin of Species and The Descent of Man. Sir Isaac Newton was a mathematician and scientist who invented differential calculus and formulated the theory of universal gravitation, a theory about the nature of light, and 3 laws of motion. England is famous for its many famous actors, both current and in the past. There are a whole bunch of names out there that listing them would be near enough impossible. Suffice it to say, English are grateful to Daniel Craig, Charlie Chaplin, Benedict Cumberbatch, Kate Winslet, Tom Hiddleston, Tom Hardy, and Rowan Atkinson for their contributions to television and movie theaters. England is known for its many world-famous musicians. Again, the list would be too long to include everyone. Don't forget that the bands alone have 4 or 5 members. The point is, there's hardly anybody who hasn't heard at least one song by the Beatles, or the Rolling Stones, or Queen, or Spice Girls, Robbie Williams, Elton John, Adele, Jessie J. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let us know what country should we visit next. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share and subscribe.